Hello and welcome to Digihunt. My name is Sandeep, and right now I have with me Colonel Ranveer Jamwal. For all the uninitiated, he is an army person who has climbed the Everest thrice and has also climbed all the seven peaks of the world. Hello, sir, and welcome to the podcast.
Thank you so much, Sandeep. It's really an honor, really an honor. Thank you so much.
Um, Sir, I mean, it's an honor for us that we have you on the podium and you have shelled out your precious time to speak to us. Um, first things first, sir. I mean, you've got to tell me that you know, climbing the Everest is definitely no mean feat, and very few Indians are actually known to scale the top of Everest. How was it? I mean, how was the experience? I mean, I don't know whether it's a redundant question. It is a very scary and it's a very thrilling experience one at the same time. But I mean, even come to think of it, when you imagine yourself climbing the top of the world, it is a different aura. It's a different zone altogether. Uh, what I'm going to ask you is, what was it climbing the final part of the Everest? Perhaps the death zone as we know it.
See, Sandeep, actually, Everest is always special because it is the highest mountain in the world. So,
Yes, yes.
whenever, especially when you're climbing above 8,000 meters, and we all know it is called death zone. We all know that without oxygen, you really actually, it makes it really difficult to actually climb that part. And
Right.
especially when you know that there is nothing above this. And when you look down, there, steeper slope towards both the sides. You
Mm.
slip and, you will not survive. You also know
Yeah, yeah,
that. And you're
yeah, yeah,
you're
absolutely.
putting crampons in your foot and, then you are, moving up. So those
The
things are
ice
definitely
shoes,
part
the
of that.
crampons and everything, the ropes.
Definitely. And you're holding on to just one rope. And not only
Yeah.
you, there are other climbers
Everybody
also
else
who
is
are
following you.
holding. Absolutely. One rope, strips off from that, and you will have more than 15, 20 casualties in that. So definitely a very risky moment. And, you're panting for breath. You're tired because what happens, the last summit push, you start at around 7, 8 o'clock in the night, and you
Yes, yes.
throughout the night you walk up around 4, 5, 6, 7 o'clock, depending on your speed. You reach
Yeah.
up, and then you click your photograph and all. You look around. If it is not very windy, you spend some time. When I say some time, means
Mhm.
maybe 5 to 10 minutes or maybe 20 minutes to spend. So that's how the things are. And when you look up and when you look around towards the Tibet side, you see plateau. Towards Nepalese side, you see a lot of mountains. And then you start feeling it actually, you're really on top. But that doesn't sink in because you don't have time to think about these things then. It is
Yeah.
about,
You
okay,
need to get down as
flags
fast as you
nikalo.
want, as fast as you can.
Exactly. It is like, okay, flags nikalo, photo ticho, and then just start moving down because everybody is waiting for their turn. Moreover, you're also panting for breath. So it's always
Yes,
good to
yes.
go down as
And
soon as possible.
and at the same time, what I heard was, if it's, I mean, is there a your turnaround time? I mean, for instance, if you reach the peak by 2, it's okay. But if you're even 100 meters apart from the peak at 2 o'clock, you need to go down because you don't really want to spend the bivouac over there. Is that
Exactly,
is
Sandeep.
that a thing?
Exactly, because it is not at all advisable to be late on that mountain. And they always say that obviously once you start in the night, and if you're not there before maybe I would say 10, 11, or 12, it is always advisable to come down. And we have seen during my 2012, 13, and 16 expeditions, people who did not adhere to these timelines. Obviously, you have to understand one thing. You are preparing for this expedition throughout your life. Somebody
Right.
has taken 1 year, somebody has taken 10 years to prepare for it. Nobody wants to leave that just for 100 meters. Or us waqt, at that point of time,
Yes.
you don't feel about life. You just try
That I need
to
to
go.
accomplish this.
Exactly. And that's how people lose their life also. And in fact, while coming down, you have to be more careful because that is the time when you are obviously, full of, it's like you have done the summit and you are celebrating it with yourself, and you become sort of casual, you become. And that is where the ultimate things, or I would say the casualties happen. So that is where we have to be, I would say, we have to be more careful. So this is where the things lie. But definitely, I would say the experience of climbing Mount Everest will definitely be the most memorable event of my life will ever be, obviously. And I have climbed 3 times. I remember when I went for the first time, when I was coming down, I was like, oh, the way Tenzing Norgay clicked a photograph, I wanted to click it that way. I didn't get a
Yes,
chance.
yes.
It was very windy. So when I went up in 2013, I went up and I told him, okay, I'll also stand like that. When Tenzing Norgay also stood on top in 1953, I also stood there and I got that photograph. So when I was coming down, I said, "Oh, Mountain Dew is my favorite drink. I should have got photograph with Mountain Dew." So when I went up in 2016, so I took Mountain Dew in my packet, in my pocket of it. This thing. Obviously, I don't have a video and photo of that, but I did drink there. I had to melt it
Oh, wow.
by rubbing.
डर के आगे
So
जीत है.
yes, and that was in 2016. And after that, they made some movies or stickers on adventurers. I
Yeah,
missed
yeah,
that
yeah.
because obviously I didn't add a photo or a video that time. But
Mhm.
this is how things happen. So every step, or I would say every summit is memorable, especially Everest, because it is the highest mountain in the world and it will remain
Yeah.
so.
So, while you were actually relating me your experiences and the way you climbed the mountain, one name actually cropped up in my head, Ang Dorji. He is legendary as far as the Sherpas are concerned, on the Everest. And he's climbed Everest, I don't know how many times. As many expeditions have been done on Everest. He's been a part of almost 90% of the expeditions of them. Uh, did you have any chance to meet him or perhaps interact with him? Or who was your Sherpa, the lead Sherpa?
My Sherpa was Dawadai. We call him Dawadai. He was my
Acha.
Sherpa. He was my Sherpa in 2013 and 16.
Hmm.
2012 was my Kami Sherpa was my Sherpa with me. So in
Hmm.
2016 we shared. We were two guys who shared one Sherpa. So we were like we were going with the Indian Army team, and obviously, so we said okay, we will take only one Sherpa with us. That's how we did. But
Acha.
let me tell you, it's a different breed, obviously. Sherpas are different breed. And
Yes, yes.
there are many. There are many. If you haven't heard of Appa Sherpa, the legendary Appa Sherpa, he was the first guy, who crossed 20 Everest summits, initials. There are many.
Oh,
There are
great.
Kamirita Sherpa. There are many. Angrita Sherpa. There are many names, many names. And they're all legends, all legends. It is such
Yes,
a
yes.
treat when you go to Everest Base Camp and meet these legends. It's a different treat. For them, I won't say it's a cakewalk, but for them, it is like, going it's like what we do. We go to Vaishno Devi Yatra.
Ah,
I make it a point every year, alternate year. This is what they do every year. So
yes.
it is really an honor to meet them when you go to Everest Base Camp. And sometimes they do come to India. They do come down, obviously, to Kathmandu. Few people have their houses at Kathmandu. So it's such an inspiration actually meeting them personally, talking to them. And these guys are so humble, so down to earth, that you really feel that this is probably what mountaineering teaches you, to be humble.
Yes, absolutely.
You learn a lot from them. Yeah.
Absolutely. Um, when we are talking about, the base camp, the Everest base camp, I think it's on 17,000 something feet. I'm not exactly sure what the
Yes.
number.
Yes. 17,500 feet. Yes.
Yeah. I mean, what is it like there? I mean, is it like really cold, windy? I mean, obviously, it's definitely the base of Everest, but um, I mean, does it help in acclimatizing with what you're going to be meeting in your next padao, for that matter?
It does. It does. And, Everest Base Camp is like, it's more of a multicultural, multinational society, I would say. Various
Yeah.
nationalities, they're there. They have their own thing of climbing. Somebody just want to do it because he wants to climb it. Somebody is with, like,
Yes.
we were with the Indian Army team, and we wanted to celebrate the 60 years when we went in 2013. So everybody has a different motivation. to climb.
Hmm.
So those things, when you meet them, obviously everybody has a different story and everybody has a different motivation to climb. So it is such an honor to meet those people there at the Everest Base Camp. You have more than 3,000, 4,000 people in that 2 by 2 kilometer of the square, I would say, on the
Hmm.
glacier. And generally in the evenings, you are discussing with them. Somebody's going up, somebody's coming down. Those things happening. It is really is some sort of a small city with all multi
Yes.
ethnicity. Everybody's
Uh,
there, and obviously you walk around, you go for walks, you go for acclimatization treks and all. So you enjoy a lot. You don't feel like you are
right.
alone on that. So generally on mountains, generally you are alone. If you're going on other mountain, or maybe in India you're going a 7,000 meter expedition or a 6,000 meter expedition,
Yes.
apart from
Yes.
few
Yes.
which are known to all, you're generally alone. You have only your team with you, 5, 6, 7, 8 members,
Yeah.
that's it.
Yeah.
But here you have n number of people to talk about, to
Of
discuss with
course.
them, to know
From
more
different
about them.
nationalities.
Exactly, exactly. It's a sort of, I told you, it's a multinational, multicultural society which is there, and it's a small town actually. It's beaming with music and shore sharaba. Everything happens there. Yeah.
Absolutely. Okay. Amidst all this celebrations and merrymaking and whatever on the base camp, there is also a thick air, perhaps an unspoken air of doubt whether we are actually going to make it or not to the top. Have you ever been faced with it? I mean, achanak se everything just goes slow, and then you kind of focus on whether you're going to be able to climb the top or 7 7 बजे निकलना तो है पर उसके बाद I mean I'm talking about the first line, not your second and third, because you already know कि आगे क्या होने वाला है. All of that is there. तो
Yes.
ऐसा कभी हुआ है?
I tell you a peculiar thing. At the Everest Base Camp, there are 4 stages. What
Hmm.
happened? The first stage is when you're reaching at base camp. You are bubbling with energy. You have seen Everest now. You are at the Khumbu Glacier. आपने किताबें
Yes,
पढ़ी, everything you have read about it. You are bubbling
exactly.
with energy. You are talking to people. You are moving here and there, meeting everyone. So that is stage one, and you are preparing for puja. Okay, you have to perform a puja, and then you move up to Khumbu Glacier. That is
Yes,
stage
yes,
one. Stage
yes.
two comes in when you have done 1 2 visits to Khumbu Glacier. You have seen those deadly crevasses. So
Crevasses.
that
Yes,
fears.
one more thing that you actually asked me, I
Yeah,
was just reminded of it. Kumbu Glacier,
yeah,
the crevasses that are there,
yes,
and you actually have to put a ladder, a huge ladder that you actually cross. I mean,
absolutely.
you got to
So
climb the
once
ladder.
you,
Isn't that scary? I mean, even when you watch
yes,
films, it's scary.
so that is stage two of an individual there who's a climber, right? So when he
Okay.
goes up, he sees those crevasses and he's like self doubt. Am I able to cross this? Will I be able to
Yes.
do this? What is going to happen next? So this is the second stage of it, the self doubt. Third stage is you are like preparing for the summit attempt. You have done your acclimatization schedule. You have been to camp one. You have crossed those crevasses. You have been to camp two. You have done your acclimatization schedule. Now you are waiting for the good weather window to go up. So that is the time when everything is, silent. Everybody is fighting their own battle inside. So they are
Yes. Yes.
silent. They are calm. They're only preparing for the summit attempt. So then the fourth stage come. Now the fourth stage is when you're down, when you have come back after the summit. Somebody has done the summit. Somebody has not been able to go to the top. He has come down from camp one, camp two, camp three, or maybe from camp four, or maybe halfway to the summit. Somebody has not come back only. He has perished in mountain. So there is a different
Right.
stage of that. These are the 4 stages which individual actually goes through. This is what I have noticed there. So you go through all emotions actually there, all emotions which happens at the Everest Base Camp.
What a lovely, lovely story, actually. I mean, it's not a story, it's actually it's a culmination of everything that you have gone through and everything that you have experienced. And that's what you're relating. And it's a wonderful, wonderful. I mean, anybody who actually listens to such stories gets inspired in some way or the other.
Thank you, Sandeep.
Ranveer sir, at the same time, you just did not climb Everest. You had climbed 7 other peaks as well. So you're going to tell me which, according to you, perhaps is one of the most difficult climbs. I mean, as they say, Kilimanjaro is perhaps K2, as they call it, is the most difficult climb. I don't know why there is this hype, but is that the reality? Is that the case?
Sandeep, you have to understand one thing, which I tell it to mountaineers also, because this is sort of, you can say, a sort of narrative. Why? Why? Because no Indian has climbed K2. That's why they think, oh, maybe it is the most difficult mountain. That's why no Indian has climbed it. No, it's not the way. It's not this way actually. In 1965, the first Indians to do Everest. That was the third ever team who climbed Everest, and we put 9 members that time. It was a world record for next 15, 20 years when next team climbed. We have the capability to climb a mountain, any mountain. And if
Hmm.
K2 can be climbed by many climbers, we also have that capability. But you have to understand that K2 is in POJK. We don't call it POK,
Okay.
Pakistan occupied Kashmir. It is
Yeah.
Pakistan occupied
Yeah.
Jammu Kashmir. So it is in POJK. So we are not allowed there. The day it opens up for us, or maybe the day we get back POJK within the Indian boundaries, we'll be able to
Yes.
climb it.
Yes.
And then obviously we will have many Indian climbers climbing K2.
Okay. So, what according to you was perhaps? I mean, I'm talking about your own experience, and what according to you was your most difficult climb, or you thought that abhi to ho nahi payega. I don't know whether I'll be able to climb it or not. Have you ever faced this situation
Sandeep,
mentally?
I always say this. For me, Everest will always remain the ultimate mountain. It definitely poses you a lot of challenges. You
Hmm.
really have to see that when you cross the glacier, or especially the crevasses when you cross. Crevasses as wide as 50 meters, as wide as 50 meters. And straight, ladders,
Yes.
you have to climb walls of 70-degree, 80-degree gradient walls. You have to climb. When you go to Camp 3, you have to climb Lhotse face. There are
Yes.
definitely different challenges. When you are crossing above 8,000 meters, when you're going from the summit camp to the summit, it's a different challenge altogether. But still, I
The
would
dead
say
zone.
yes. Yes. So, there might be thousands of people who can say कि Everest को आजकल कोई भी चढ़ लेता है. It's not like that.
Ah.
Ultimately, you have to walk on your own. Sherpa might fix the rope, but you have to walk on your own. It's your life, and you have to decide what you want to do with it. You have to, you have to cross the crevasses on your own. He might help you with a rope, this thing, okay, aap aise pakad lo, aap aise chalo, but finally you have to walk up. So those things are there. Everest is the ultimate mountain. Yes, second, I would say the most difficult I have faced till now is Mount Denali, which is the highest
Achha.
in North America. And why I feel that was a difficult and the most satisfying mountain for me, because there you don't have any Sherpa support, you don't have any Adam support, and you
So you
go
got
on
to
your
carry
own.
everything yourself.
Everything on your own. You have to carry your sledge, you have to cook on your own, you have to pitch your own
Oh
tent,
God.
and you have to decide where you want to stay, where you want to camp. So we were three friends who decided we will not take anybody's help, we will not take any guide with us, we will only go with our instinct, and we will see where we can reach. And finally we were able to do the summit of Mount Denali in 8 days, and we were back. So that was one of the most satisfying mountains, I would say, which I did, and the most difficult also, because we didn't know what is going to be for us next day. But I would say, we survived, and we could able to, reach the summit in time without any, weather interruptions and all. And we were right back, we were back to the base in time.
Wow, lovely. You know what? So when you're narrating these stories, I'm actually getting goosebumps all over. I mean, I am a person who loves the mountains, and I would love to, perhaps I don't know whether my dreams are going to come true. Maybe Everest for that matter. But one thing that I've always been in the mountains, mostly whenever I get the time, I go off to the north, to experience the mountains and everything. From my childhood, my parents. I mean, I'm from a Bengali family, and Bengalis love to travel, and my parents had already instilled this, in me, and it's in my blood to travel. So I have been to so many places in the north, surrounded by mountains, mighty mountains, for that matter, Himalayas, for that matter. In the morning and during the day, everything seems fine. But in the night, when you're alone, especially, and you're walking on a desolate road, in the night, the atmosphere changes completely. It feels as though the mountains are coming at you. I know I feel it. It gets very scary for some reason. I mean, especially if we don't have a torch or a flashlight or torchlight or whatever you might call it.
Yes.
It feels as though they're coming at you and they're going to, you are just the only person. Firstly, your existence doesn't matter because you're just a small little, like, protruding little uh, nothing for that matter in front of the mountains. And
Yes.
it feels as though they are coming at you. Uh, I mean, what I'm trying to, ask you is, have you ever kind of been scared of the mountains? Or, I mean, you are from Kashmir yourself, and you have that in your blood. But have you ever been, a little, what do you call that, shaken by the mountains?
Sandeep, what happens actually in mountains? I have seen a lot. You know, being in Jammu, there are a lot of mountains around us, and I won't say that I'm born in mountains because they're not big mountains in Jammu region. But
Mm-hmm.
yes, I have seen those mountains. I have seen Shivaliks. I have seen Trikuta Parvat from far, and we have regular visits, and we always go and bow down to Mata Vaishno Devi. But everything you face when you are doing mountaineering, and if I say Everest per se, 2015, you would know that earthquake struck Nepal. There were,
Yes.
we were at the base camp then, Everest base camp. NDTV team was with us. It was very scary. Dead bodies around, a lot of people. We got saved by the earthquake. We were in the mid of Humbo Glacier. When we came down at base camp, we saw people running around. A lot of people were injured. Around more than 100 people were injured. So we immediately started helping them out and all. Our everything was scattered outside. We made ourselves to two groups. One team was looking for their own stuff, and the other team was helping the injured ones and all. So we have seen that stage also. We have seen that stage that when we were at Camp 3, suddenly the big chunk of ice came down from Lhotse and it blew our tents away. We were out in the open at you
Mm.
7,100 meters. We were out in the open, and that to a slope of 45-50 degrees on Lhotse wall. We have seen that. We have seen a blizzard in 2016 when we were going up. There was a blizzard. I'll send you a small clip. You will understand. Where the wind was blowing approximately 70 to 80 knots. So it was like
Jesus
only
Christ.
one part of mine, just one cheek part of mine was, I would say outside. And I had that black scar on my face for 6 months. It
What
was,
are you
it was
saying?
a,
You mean you
it,
got a frostbite
yes.
just because of the wind?
Yes, just because of the wind. It was so, so cold, and it was just because of that. So I
Oh my.
have seen in 2012, we reached the summit camp. That was 17th night, 17th May 2012. We decided not to go up because it was blizzard all over. So we decided not to go up. There were few climbers who decided to go up. I think probably they were around 12. So out of 12,
Mm.
6 didn't come back. They perished on mountain. And when we again went for the summit attempt on 25th or 24th night, 24th May, we saw their dead bodies. They were on the same rope which were going up. So we have seen those conditions. I would say these are just three examples I'm telling you. Other mountains also, we have seen those conditions. So you go through lots of emotional phases actually. Lots of
Yeah.
emotional phases you go through. So these are just few examples which I have to told.
Exactly, exactly, exactly. Okay, sir. Now, you've got to relate to me your time in the army, about your time in the army, and how did it actually transcend from being an army person to a skilled and absolutely achieving it all kind of a mountain. Yeah.
Sandeep, adventure is a way of life in army because we get posted to far-flung areas of the country.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right from Ladakh to Arunachal. See, you have mountains all around. So I
Right,
would
right.
say
Absolutely.
it was there is an institute called High Altitude Officer School. It is at Gulmarg. So I did my mountaineering courses and skiing courses from there. So it is sort of, mandatory. I would say, anybody in the army can go for that course. So I was sent for the
Okay.
course. I was not aware of that when I was a captain, 2.5 years of service. I was sent for that course. I was not aware of, something like that. When I went there, I started liking it. I loved skiing, and I loved doing mountaineering and, running around. Everything, I was loving it. So probably that interest or that passion drive me to excel in that course. I got best student, and within just next 2 years, I was called back as instructor there. So that's how I would say my journey with mountains started. And
Yeah.
when I went to Switzerland for a Swiss, search and rescue course in 2007, therein, my horizon also widened a bit. We
Expanded. Yeah.
you interact with a lot of people, and then you understand their psyche, and then you start, preparing yourself also. What do you want to do? How do you want to, increase your, I would say, endurance, or how do you want to do well in mountaineering, or if you want to take up this passion. So that's how things started with me. Then obviously slowly I started doing with 5,000-meter mountains, 6,000-meter mountains, and slowly I led 2 7,000-meter expeditions. And then I got a call for the Indian Army selection team for the Everest. That was in 2012. So 11 we did the selection camp, and 2012 we went for the first Everest summit. And that's how the journey to the big mountains started. So things
Right.
are there, but then you all go through your setbacks too. I have lost a finger in frostbite in 2009. So this happens. This is part and parcel of life.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Jesus. Okay. So you go to tell me, I mean, we all know it for a fact that, as far as elections are concerned, the army is very stringent. You have to really go through rigorous phases of tiring your body, your mind, and your soul completely. How is the selection process as far as the mountaineers are concerned and these mountaineering expeditions are concerned? किस तरह से selection होता है? क्या-क्या करना पड़ता है? And what are the sacrifices for that matter that a person has to make in order to actually get selected?
It is, I would say, it is one of the most toughest selection camps which happens in army. Why I'm saying so? Because, outside what happens, you do the courses, you climb a mountain, you feel that you're good enough to climb Mount Everest or any other mountain. Either you go on your own, spending your own money, or you ask for the sponsorship. There is nobody who questions you what is your credibility. But in army, when you go for the selection camp, your credibility, your endurance skills, and your technical skills as a mountain is checked. For example, if you want to take a 20 members team, at least 70 to 80 best mountaineers of India, of Indian Army, they come for the selection camp. And you have to be the best of 20. Out of 70, 80 best climbers of the country or other Indian Army, then
Mm.
only those 15, 20 climbers are selected. So this is the rigorous training and rigorous selection process. Actually, the best of the team is selected. Probably, I would say that is primarily the reason that we have 100% success rate on any 8,000ers or any other mountain we do. Obviously, perhaps one or two odd incidents of bad weather, getting stuck somewhere is always,
Mm.
you fight with weather that time. You can't fight with the natural calamities, but generally you
Absolutely.
have a 100% success rate because the selection process is very hard and very meticulous.
Wow. I just so when you say that selection procedure is very difficult, very hard, and rigorous, or whatever you might call it, whatever adjective you might use, I'm very intrigued to know कि benchmark क्या है, मतलब क्या ज़्यादा देखते हैं, सांस अंदर रखने की capacity या चढ़ने की capacity कितने में थक जा रहा है, something like that sort, मतलब what is the benchmark, मतलब क्या देखते हैं?
If I tell you that I, as a leader, when I select someone, see, everybody is a climber. When we have selected those best 80 or best 100 of Indian Army, they are the
Mm.
best. We know that. मैं ये देखता हूँ कि how is he as a person? How is his interpersonal relationships? When I say interpersonal relationship means, is he good climber as well as nature wise? Can he take on that pressure? When any casualty or when any, unforeseen contingency arrives, can
Mm.
he react on that situation in a better manner? How
Right,
is
right.
he with the other fellow climber? For example, if his fellow climber needs some help, is he able to do that? Or he is on his own? Or he is just a singular climber who's only focused on his own summit? Because we go as a team, Sandeep.
As a team.
We always believe that we don't leave our friend behind or we don't leave anyone behind. If it is summit, it's summit for all. For example, when we go for main 8,000 meters also, we always
Mm.
say, we always make it as buddies. Buddies. For example, if my buddy is not able to climb, I also come back. I have to be with my buddy. So that is where things go right, I would say. So that is where we select. It is not only his physical trait, but his mental temperament is also checked. That is how the selection process happens. So we put him under rigorous mental fatigue also.
Situations.
Yes, rigorous mental fatigue to check whether he can perform at that level or not. And this definitely helps us because as a team, when you go up, anything can happen. Like I
Yeah.
told you, we were not able to summit, but nobody was feeling bad. Nobody
Because
was feeling
everybody
bad. They
came
were
in.
not. Yes, everybody was prepared. And I remember there were other climbers coming from different nationalities. They were literally crying that they are not able to climb up. They're not able to go for the summit. So those things happen. There are when we
Absolutely.
had that casualty part in 2015, there were people who were running down. They were not bothered about anything. They left everything at Everest Base Camp and they ran down for their life. We stood there. I had my three members, injured, but they stood with me and they stood. They said, "No issues, sir. We are here and we will go together." This is how things happen. So if you're not physically and mentally stronger, probably you will not get selected in the army selections camp, I would say. So this is how we go for it actually.
I get that. So when you say that, we go as a team and everything goes, I mean, everything happens, we face it together. But कभी कभी ऐसा भी होता है कि I mean, when you're climbing a rope and a person is, maybe 10 feet above you and you are 10 feet below the person. Uh, Boulders आए, कुछ आए ऊपर से, maybe some stupid small shit avalanche happening ऊपर से आए, and the person who's on top, perhaps who's the lead, moves, and जो नीचे है उसको लगता है. And some or the other, किसी वजह से he उसका balance बिगड़ जाता है and he falls. He keeps falling. And when the other person who's on top, he knows that if he goes down, also have to go down, and he goes down. But somehow the other, due to natural calamities, what happens is he is not able to rescue. Now, for instance, अगर पूरे दिन एक बहुत ही ज़्यादा controversial एक ऐसा situation था. I don't quite remember the name of the mountaineers, but I had watched this documentary because, as I told you, I'm very much interested in mountain climbing and all of these things. So I watched this documentary. It actually went on to become a history of the mountaineers, because this climber, somehow he managed to save himself, and he actually tried his best to save his partner from falling into a deep crevasse, but his partner could not help himself, and instead of all his efforts to kind of save his partner, he went and fell into this deep crevasse. And this fellow, he stayed at the base camp for a lot more time, thinking that his partner might return, which he eventually returned. But the fact that this actually happened, there were three climbers climbing up the mountain. I forgot the name of the mountain. I think it was North Face. शायद North Face था. मुझे ठीक से याद नहीं. तो ऐसा भी होता है. So in that case, तब क्या करे? I mean, everybody definitely at that point in time, what happened is he was criticized that he left his partner and he cut the rope. He had cut the rope, so he was criticized very badly from the entire mountaineering fraternity for that matter. But in such a situation, what shall a person do? I mean, it becomes so crazy. It becomes, you have to save yourself ultimately. I mean, along with saving your feeling bad for the fact that you had to cut them. Just imagine the amount of pangs of emotions he went through while cutting a rope. He knows that, if I cut the rope, I'll be saved, but my partner will not be saved. And after such a long period of time, he kind of finally, अगर पूरी रात में यहीं पे बैठा रहूं, I'll be either freezing to death. I don't know what's happening to my partner because I can't even see him. You know what I'm saying? I can't see what's happening to my partner, but I can see myself. I'm trying to pull. I don't know whether the rope is coming or not. Yeah, pull cut off, the entire rope is only coming up. I don't know what happened to him. So in such a situation, what do you think should a person?
Sandeep, the example which you have given now is an extreme example where only two members are climbing up, or maybe four members are climbing up. This happens, I would say this situation arises only 1 in 1,000. 1 in 1,000. I'll give you a few examples to understand. For example, how do you react to such situations if the boulder is coming down or a big chunk of ice is coming down? We have certain drills set up. For example, I'm climbing up and I have six other, climbers with me who are coming, who are just following me on the top. If, for example, if I see a stone or a boulder or maybe a pack of ice coming down, I will definitely start shouting. Patthar bhi chota sa aata hai, we start shouting patthar, patthar. It's drill. Everybody understands we have to duck down now. We have to duck down, patthar is coming. You can't move here left or right because it's all open field. So what do? You have a helmet. So you make as small as, sack of your body himself. And then you put like this. So what happens? Everything what comes onto you is either, getting hit on your rucksack or getting hit on your helmet. We have such examples. We both were climbing, me and my partner, Sudhir was there. As I told you, we climb as buddies. So he was my buddy, and unfortunately, he's no more now. He, expired in another mountain when he went in.
Oh my God.
Years back. So we both were climbing up, and there was another team ahead of us. So they started shouting "Pathar, Pathar," and we also saw up, and we just made that drill. We just dug down, and one stone hit my rucksack, another stone hit his helmet, and his helmet broke. It happens. That's it. But I tell you that these are the drills which you follow. For example, when we were climbing up from Khumbu Glacier, I remember a big chunk of ice came down from, there is a small mountain, obviously small mountain as compared to Everest, Lola. So it was like a big chunk of ice came down from there, and we were crossing the glacier. The whole glacier, started moving here and there. So we immediately unplugged from the rope and came down running towards a safe place. So the four climbers of last one of ours, they could not reach the safe place. So they got hold of one rope which was very close to the glacier. Very close to the glacier. So once that thing settled within those 5-7 minutes, what happened? We were around 5-6 more climbers. We immediately took out our safety rope. We threw at them and we got them rescued. So this is how things happen. These are the set drills which happen. The which you're telling that, if somebody gets it, you have to cut the rope and all. It happens sometimes. But then, which I'm telling you is 1 in 1,000 case. Where you are only two climbers climbing up, where you have only, 3-4 climbing up, and there is nobody else to help you out. This happens in that. But in rare cases, I would say, that is the rarest of the rare case which happens. Otherwise, you have people around, maybe ahead of you, maybe behind you. So there will be some help which will be given to you. So things happen, but then drills are set, and you need to practice those drills coming up to that level.
I understood that, but how would the mountain, for instance, the army, as you told me, kind of teaches you, kind of drills into your head that you have to be a partner and you have to save your body. You have to be together no matter what happens. If you're coming down, your body's coming down, you have to come down. If you don't feel like your body is hit or your body is feeling sick or whatever it is, you need to come down to help him and all of that.
Yes.
What if such a situation, this 1 in 1,000 situation arises? So मतलब how is it judged? किस तरह से वो देखा जाता है और मतलब
Sandeep, I think I would tell you, if I go through this situation, I would hold on. I would hold on till my last breath. I would hold on to my partner. I will ask for help. And if that help doesn't arrive, I would hold on to my partner for last breath. Reason being, this is what is our teaching. This is what we have been trained for. We would definitely hold on, and I will definitely not cut the rope. That is what I will not do. That I will never do that. That is something which is crazy. It doesn't happen this way कि अपनी जान बचाने के लिए आपने किसी और की जान ले ली. आप आखिर तक कोशिश करेंगे. जब तक आपकी जान है, जब तक आपके हाथ पैर सलामत हैं, when you're not frostbitten, you're active, you're able to move. It doesn't happen this way. You have to see every possible way how he can come up. Then only you can actually do that. What happens here? Sometimes for the movies, you make it more dramatic.
Yeah.
That this was about to happen, and he had to cut this rope. He didn't had any other option. Why? He had to have the option. If he is alive, he has to look for the options. You are trained for that. If you are on that same rope, you have the carabiner with us, you have ice pitons with you are trained for that. You take out your ice piton, you put a safety anchor, you put the rope in that, you move around, look for help. If there is no help, then you are taught a rescue method. You rescue your climber or rescue your partner who's down below. These are the teachings. That is the reason we always say that you have to be well trained in all your mountaineering courses before you go for such ventures. If you're trained, you will definitely have your drill set. If you're not trained, you will never know. For example, if I'm telling you now, you have to take or ice piton, you don't even know what ice piton is. If I have to tell you, you have to decide which rescue method you have to use to take out your partner. If you're not trained about it, you only know about, okay, rope ko pakad ke hame climb karna hai. You will not know which rescue method I'm talking about. So this happens when you are well trained, and let me tell you, this situation will never arise. If this situation arises, I will hold on to my partner till my last breath.
Wow. Lovely. You know what? When there is a conversation, most of the times when people really have passion about a certain thing, and others who don't really have a passion about that particular thing, they kind of see it as a madness. अरे क्यों लोग अपने जान को जोखिम में डाल के इतना बड़े पहाड़ को क्या मिलता है उनको क्लाइंब करने से? क्या है वो पहाड़ी तो है. This is the kind of reaction that 80% of the people have. People who don't really understand the passion behind conquering what they're actually conquering. People who don't understand that emotion. Now, how do you face people who kind of might have, have interacted with people who actually have such a thought process? How is your reaction to them?
First thing first, Sandeep. First thing first, I would tell you, you don't conquer a mountain. You conquer yourself. Mountains cannot be conquered. And
yes,
you are a survivor.
Absolutely. That's what I meant. That's what I meant. Mountains cannot be conquered. That's what I meant.
It cannot be conquered. Mountains are beyond us. Mountains are beyond us. And, it is your passion which takes you there. You just feel happy. Or sabse badi baat, tell me, danger is everywhere. Danger is outside your home. When you climb, when you ride a bike, it's always a danger. When you, drive a vehicle, it's dangerous there too. Probably, I would say, in adventure, there are less casualties than on road. There are more casualties on road. So obviously, how do you define that? So for me, obviously, I would say that if you have a passion for something, you just do that. And we have passion for climbing and we feel happy there. That is our peace zone. So we do that. Yes. And, the best thing is, you realize how small you are, in front of mountains. They are huge and you can't fight. You have to obey their rules. In mountains, you have to obey their rules. If it is bad weather, you don't move up. If it is blizzard, you stop there or you come down. If it is something, for example, if your oxygen cylinder leaks or you don't have a proper, gear with you, or if you're not feeling good, if you're feeling, something happens to the body, it is a sign that you can quit. Mountain is going to be there. You can come back next time and climb it. But you don't have to be very rigid that mere ko abhi karna hai. No, it doesn't happen this way. So these are the things which happen, And danger is everywhere.
Absolutely, absolutely. Okay, sir. Now let me steer the conversation towards NIMAS. You've got to give a small introduction about NIMAS and also the fact that the cyclist that this expedition that you recently carried out on the INA route. That was the pre-independence INA route. You actually met INA fighters. INA, for all the people who don't know, which is a shame again if you don't know, it's Indian National Army. And you met these people, you met the fighters, right? In and now they're in the right old age, but still they were very enthusiastic and relating whatever experiences they have about that particular period in time and whatever they faced. How was all of that? And tell me a little bit about the mass and the courses they offer and everything for that matter.
I will distribute this into three parts, Sandeep. First, I will answer you what NIMAS is. Second, I will answer
Hmm.
you what we did in cycling. And third, I'll answer you about INA. First is NIMAS. NIMAS stands for National Institute of Mountaineering and Adventure Sports. It is the unique national institute, the only national institute in the country, I would say, which gives certification courses in all three verticals of adventure. There are other mountaineering institute. People ask me, sir, wo Jim is also there, NIM is also there, HMI Darjeeling is also there. They are very famous mountaineering institutes. They are mountaineering institutes. They impart training in skiing, mountaineering, sport climbing. Whereas for us, mountaineering, sport climbing,
Is
and
a part.
skiing is just one vertical, one part. We also train people. We also give certification courses in mountain terrain biking. We also give certification courses in aero adventure, that is paramotor and paragliding. We also give certification courses in aqua adventure, that is scuba diving and whitewater rafting. So this is a very, very unique institute. It is situated in Dirang Valley in Arunachal Pradesh. A beautiful valley, I would say, and a beautiful
Yes.
route. A lot of people say कि sir Arunachal तो बहुत दूर है, नहीं दूर है. If you really want to comment, it's just 8 hours journey from Guwahati to Dirang Valley, and just 4 hours from Dirang it is Tawang. So it is Tawang and route to Tawang, and it is a beautiful valley.
Lovely
You should
place,
come
I tell
over to
you.
see.
Lovely place. Tawang is just wonderful.
Yes.
It's in my bucket list.
Yes, and you must come over to see that to believe it, what I'm talking about. So this was NIMAS. Now, second thing is what we have done now. It was a cycling expedition, which was we did obviously on the occasion of Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav and to celebrate India's G20 presidency. We covered 6 nations. We started over from Vietnam. We landed at Hanoi, went to the northernmost town of theirs, which is called Sapa. We climbed
Acha.
the highest mountain of Vietnam called Fancy Pan. And then we cycled down from there. The total distance we covered was 5,374 kilometers, and total cycling days were 37. The countries we crossed are Vietnam, Laos, Cambodia, Thailand, Malaysia, and Singapore. Every country was different, I would say. Vietnam was very cold. It was obviously hilly terrain. So it was, I would say,
Mm.
the toughest cycling part of our journey. When we came down to Laos and Cambodia, I would say very poorer countries. And it has the distinction of being, dubious distinction of being the most bombed country in the world during Vietnam US war and all. So
Okay.
it was very harsh climate, very, it was very warm. And, our cycles got punctured the most in Laos and Cambodia. In Cambodia, when we entered, we also visited Angkor Wat Temple. When we entered Malaysia, we also took the route which INA took, when they came towards Northeast India for our, liberation. So when we met, this is what cycling, and the last, we culminated at INA War Memorial at Singapore. So that is where we ended our cycling journey, 5,374 kilometers. And we met a lot of Indians there. They all welcomed us. More than 10, 15 organizations, they felicitated us at Singapore. Even High Commissioner in Singapore and in Kuala Lumpur, they called us, they felicitated us, they applauded our efforts of cycling so much. And that too, it was the first time ever that any Indian team, sorry, they came down from Vietnam, crossed over to Laos, Cambodia, and they entered Thailand, Malaysia, and came to Singapore. People have done 4 nations. People have crossed over to Myanmar, and then went from Thailand, Malaysia to Singapore. But nobody had done from that route. So we became the first team to do that route. And then we covered around 5,374 kilometers, as I said. Now I come to the third answer. Third was obviously INA. It's very sad that, if I had to tell you today, we know
What?
each and every member of Mughal Empire. We each and every member. Babur kaun tha, Humayun kaun tha, Jahangir kaun tha, Akbar kaun tha. We know everyone, right till
Yes.
Shah Jahan and beyond. But we don't know anyone apart
Exactly.
from Subhash Chandra Bose ji. We
Subhash
don't know
Chandra
anyone in
Bose.
IN. Yes,
Yes, yes.
only 4 lines were there in our book.
और
I'm
कुछ
talking about
लोगों को
94,
तो ये
96.
भी पता नहीं होगा कि आईएनए है क्या. And I told you it's a shame
Exactly,
if people don't know, and I know it
exactly,
because people
exactly.
who dabble in just social media and Instagram and Facebook, जो और कुछ जानते नहीं है, और Instagram influencers से, so called influencers, I don't know what influence they give, उनसे influence होते रहते हैं. How will they know? This is what the generation has come to. In fact, that was my next question to you. Anyways, please
Yes.
continue.
Speaking on the same thing, we met INA veterans there. One was 99 years old, Lieutenant Sundaram sir. I met him. We can't believe he's 99. And he obviously narrated these stories which we are not even aware of. We are not even aware of that there is something called Balak Sena, the youth wing of INA. When Netaji gave those motivational and speeches, तुम मुझे खून दो मैं तुम्हें आजादी दूंगा, and other
आजादी दूंगा.
speeches all around Thailand, Malaysia, Singapore, lots and lots of people wanted to join. Ladies wanted to join, so he made Rani Jhansi Battalion and Brigade. Boys, kids, 8-9 years old, they wanted to join. So then he made Balak Sena. They were the ones who were giving some sort of administrative support to the main army which was fighting, Indian National Army which was fighting. So it was very emotional hearing it from him. And there was another called Indian Independence League, which was a political wing of INA. This I'm only
Yes,
talking to you in crux. Nobody talks about it. And
exactly.
there are many settled in Kuala Lumpur, in whole Malaysia and in Singapore, who have very, very high regards for Netaji, who have very, very high regards for all those who fought for our independence and for INA. It is really, they admire them. वो उनको पूछते हैं. They have their photo in their house. Netaji is like God to them. So it was
Yes, yes.
really, heartening to see that, and obviously feel bad about it that in India, not many people are aware of it. So this